Hi, this is Tom Muir from World Class Coaching with another in our series of animated drills. This week I want to focus on changing direction. And this is a progression of 3 different exercises that you can use. I should say it's the same exercise. It's a progression that you can do over a course of 3 different training sessions, whether you spread them out by a week or you do them within the same week, but it's all focused on changing direction. So the way this is set up to begin with is each player has a ball. We've got 5 cones set up. I set them up about 4 yards apart so that we're creating 4-yard little quote-unquote goals in between here. And the beginning of the exercise, I'll have the players focus on the cones. So they're going to change direction relative to the cones. So they're going to go up 2 cones, back 1. Then they're going to go up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1, and finish there. Now, what change of direction moves you use? Entirely up to you. You can search YouTube for tons of different change of direction moves. Let's use an example of an inside of the foot chop. So this player on this side here goes up, uses the right foot to chop and change direction and come back here. Obviously this player uses their left foot because we want the players to face each other. Even though they're not directly opposing each other, I still want them aware of the other person in that space, aware of the movements of another player. So I want them facing that other player throughout the pattern. So they're going to go left foot on this side, and then when they get here, they're going to chop it with their inside of their right foot. They're going to use the inside of their left. We're going up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1 until the finish. Now the second group doesn't have to wait until the first group is completely finished. That would be a lot of standing around. What you can do instead is they go up 2, back 1. As soon as they change direction that second time, they're going to go up 2, and that's going to create space for this next group to then dribble their ball up 2 and back 1 without any risk of running into anybody. So they're going to do that. So at any given time, you're going to end up with 3 pairs, 6 players, going at the same time. So going up 2, back 1 with various change of direction moves, various, however you want to do it, however you want to work on those, whichever ones you want to focus on, fantastic. I suggest having a limited number, maybe 2 or 3 that you're really focusing on so that the players really get it. And one at a time, making sure they understand the technique of each one of them. Make sure they understand the principles of changing direction. You want to stop abruptly. You want to explode quickly in the opposite direction. So they need to be leaning back in the direction they want to go so that they don't drift across the ball and slow themselves down. So focusing on the technique of it really at this stage is the important aspect. The next thing I'll do within this same environment, within the same practice, is I'll say, now don't change direction relative to the cone. Change direction relative to the space between the cones. That means you can change direction anywhere in this space that you like. You can come all the way to the end of it. You can change direction as soon as you get into it, and then they're going to come back 1, and they're going to go up 2 again, anywhere in this space, back 1, up 2, and so on with the next group going as they did before. Now both players can decide independently how far they're going. That's fine. They're still going to move relatively close to each other, so this second group will know when to go, and the third group, and so on. But what I'm getting them to do now is change direction more relative to a space, which is going to come in handy for the next phase. So now in the second phase here, what we've done is we've taken the ball away from these players on the left-hand side. And obviously I didn't mention this before, but as players finish the pattern at the top, when they come back in this other direction, they're going to be using their other foot. So that, that they're going to start on the other side. Although they are changing direction with the right foot and the left foot here, they're just doing it from the other side. So, we're training both feet is the emphasis here. But now we've got a player that's on defense and a player that's attacking. We'll obviously change roles at the end so everybody gets to both attack and defend. But what we're doing here is the player with the ball is the one making the choices. The defender's job is to shadow the attacker. So as we just finished, the attacker dribbles to any space they like inside of this area. They can go here. They can change direction right away. It's up to them where they change direction. The key is that defender has to key off what the attacker does. So we're going up 2, back 1, up 2, back 1, as before. And with this group starting, as before, after they change direction that second time, they know now they're free to start the pattern in that direction as well. So we've got the defender practicing their defensive footwork and their defensive change of direction, while the attacker has some passive pressure. There's that emphasis on, can I lose that defender? All right, it's not direct at the moment, but we're working toward that. They get down to the other end, and then they change roles. Now, after we do that a few times, now what I'll do is I'll say, okay, this defender can now tackle this attacker when the attacker tries to get through the gate. And so we'll change this into more of a competition where, to begin the exercise, to begin the competition, the attacker has to dribble to the center cone, which is this middle cone of the 5. They have to dribble here. Now they can change direction anytime they like. And the goal is to lose this lose this defender just enough so that they create space that they can dribble through and get past that defender. Now, as soon as the attacker tries to dribble across, this defender is free to try to get a touch and tackle that attacker as they come across. My rule is the attacker only gets a point for scoring if they can get completely past the defender or the defender's not able to touch it. So they're getting past their shoulder, they're getting beyond that defender, so that we're not continuing to have this defender chase all the way back here. This attacker's job is to get behind them quickly. If the defender gets any kind of touch on the ball, then there's no point for the attacker. So now this second group does have to wait until this first group is completed, and as soon as they're done, these two would then come back here and they would then change roles. So they would come back here, they would switch sides, the defender would get the ball, and now they're on offense and the other player's defending. So that's the second phase. Okay, so now we have the third and final phase of this change of direction exercise, where we've got the attacking player, we've got the defending player, and then we have a teammate of the attacking player. So as before, the attacking player has to dribble toward that center cone, that third of the 5 cones, in order to start the exercise. Nothing starts until the players get out here. I want to drive that defender out. I want to get them in the middle of the space in order to, now we're starting to play. And so as we're playing now, this attacker is trying to lose this defender, which obviously is going to be impossible the way I have this set up as far as being connected. But as the attacker moves with the ball, if they can move the defender into that space, then we can try to connect with the defender here. Now, my rule is that the attacker cannot pass the ball diagonally through this space. We don't want them passing diagonally. It's too easy. What I want instead is I want that attacker to have to change direction here, get back into this space, and as they get back into this space, now they're completing the pass from one side to the other through. Now, obviously, this defender is going to try to recover. The goal is for the attacker to have a good change of direction move and really deceive that defender enough that they leave that defender back here and allow the attacker time to get back into the open channel, make the pass to their teammate. So we've got this player trying to move and lose the defender, got the defender trying to stay with them, but what we also have is we've got the supporting player trying to read the movement of the attacker or even help influence the movement of the attacker by finding that space away from the defender and saying, hey, you got room down here, can you change direction and sprint quickly down here, and then we can connect that pass through these 2 gates. So when that's over, then obviously everybody would return to the start and we would change roles. In this pattern, usually what I'll do is the attacker becomes the defender becomes the supporting player gets the ball and comes back here. So we've moved from this being a purely technical exercise of going up 2, back 1, changing direction, to then adding a defender to put some pressure, to trying to beat that defender, and now we've got the defender in the pressure, but now we're trying to connect a pass through the gate. So we've moved it to a cooperative exercise where we're relying on our teammate to try to get open for us as we're trying to lose the defender and make a connection through the gate. So I hope you like that progression. I'd love to hear ideas on different ways to use that progression, maybe different ways to progress it further. Other ideas would be great in the comment section below.